So today's video is going to be Process of a Pro Episode 2. You guys may have seen the first episode, which was based all on the early game, but if you guys don't know, this series is basically going to be one where I cover a new highly advanced topic every single video based on a different part of the game. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over the first aspect of the mid-game. This is going to be revolving around mid-game fights and W keying, and then the next video about the mid-game is going to revolve around rotation and positioning. I just feel that I needed 2 videos in order to do the mid-game justice, so be sure to stay tuned for that video. Obviously, be sure to use code Sonata in the Fortnite item shop. Let's get into this video. So to begin, the mid game is one of the most important, crucial aspects of the game. A lot of players are able to make it through the early game and are able to play the end game well due to stuff like scrims and zone wars. However, the mid game is where a lot of players, especially IGLs, begin to lack. A lot of people have trouble taking fights and surviving when they're being W keyed, and that's what I'm going to be covering in today's video. Let's start off with the 3 types of mid game fights. So the 3 types of mid-game fights are going to be W key fights, profited fights, and then defensive fights. These are 3 names that I have invented for these 3 types of fights, and I'm going to be explaining them in further detail as we go on. So let's begin with W key fights. W key fights are the ones that you take when you are playing an offensive game, and this is when you decide to fully devote a game to getting as many kills as possible. This is where you're going to be the one initiating the fights, and you need to try to play as aggressive as you possibly can in order to win these fights and finish them quickly. The best way to improve in these W key fights is to master 3 primary things: piece control, aim, and awareness. Now, in order to improve your piece control, I would recommend you use Raider's piece control practice map, and this is going to help you be able to finish the fight quicker and have the ability to eliminate your opponent without taking that much damage. For your aim, I would recommend that you guys use aim duels and practice using Scavex's aim trainer. This is going to help you actually eliminate the opponent quickly by hitting more of your shots. And then lastly, to improve your awareness, you need to understand that people will third party you if your fight carries on too long, and it's important that you play highly aggressive arena in order to practice this. Being more aware is going to help you limit the amount of third parties that you have, and that's going to really help you out in the long run. That's going to make it more sustainable for you guys to live throughout the rest of the game. And a lot of pro players are very good at being aware of when third parties arrive, and that's how you see them winning all of these fights. In duos, the same methodology applies. Work on these 3 skills of yourself, and then make sure that your IGL gives the commands for these, and ensure that the fragger can execute them if needed. The fragger ideally is supposed to be the better fighter who's actually able to fight well, and while the IGL also should be able to fight well, they need to decide when and where to W key and when to avoid it. Now the next type of fight is going to be known as a profited fight. Now these fights are the ones that you take when you do damage to an opponent, and then after you decide to W key them in order to secure the elimination points. The best way to improve these is to master the 3 same skills that I listed before in W keying, but also really focus on learning how to finish the fights quickly. This will help you decrease any risk of third parties, and it'll also help you secure the kills quicker and focus on your rotation and positioning more. In duos, you really need to focus on finishing fights quicker as a duo. I would recommend you guys use methods such as the pinch method, which is where you attack from 2 different sides of a box or tarp, and you squeeze the opponent into a small area and then eliminate them there. This pinch method is extremely popular amongst pros in mid-game fights. It's even used in the end games quite a bit too, but this method is one of the most useful for eliminating teams during the mid-game. A lot of teams aren't very good at being W keyed during the mid game, which is why you guys should benefit off of using profited fights. Especially if you're a more passive player, I'd recommend you get really good at taking profited fights before you go completely over to the W key side. A massive benefit of eliminating these players that you're taking in these profited fights is that you're going to be able to get all of their mats and materials, which is most likely going to be very useful for you, especially if you're a more passive player that's just taking a fight for the heck of it. Overall, profited fights are extremely useful, and I recommend you guys master those 3 skills, which were piece control, aim, and awareness, and also try to focus on eliminating the risk of any third parties by practicing in arena. Now the third type of fight is known as a defensive fight. This is the one where you're going to be W keyed and you have to deal with winning the fight when your opponent is attacking you aggressively. The best way to improve is to actually play defensively rather than just try to play more aggressive against your opponent. In order to properly do this, you need to master 3 things once again. These 3 attributes are going to be slightly different than the ones that I told you guys to practice during the W key and profited fights, but they're going to be your peaks, your aim, and your awkward edits. Now a really good way to practice your peaks is to play stuff like a bunch of box fights. This is going to help you play more passive and get shots off various very different peaks that your camera angle on your character can get. This is going to benefit you if you guys are trying to play defensively and stay in your box. A really big issue that I see with a lot of players nowadays is that they try to play more aggressive than the person attacking them, and this never really works because most of the time the person attacking you already has the upper hand. Whether that's high ground, mats, loot, ammo, Whatever it is, they're 9 times out of 10 going to be at an upper hand than you, and you need to play the game differently, not better than they are. Now, the reason you should master your aim is very obvious. You need to be able to hit your shots and finish the fight quickly. That's a given. I would recommend once again that you guys practice this using aim duels, Kovacs, Scavix, pretty much anything you can get your hands on in order to practice your aim. Pro players are very good at practicing their aim and getting it down. That's why you see very many pros have amazing aim. And then you should also be practicing your awkward edits. Now, this is a bit of an abstract one, but I would recommend you guys do this because just in case you are in a box and you need to get out for whatever reason, there's going to be a lot of times where you're faced with a difficult camera angle and a weird edit that you have to make in order to get out. Especially when the person W keying you is spraying your tarp and you need to try to get out as fast as possible. Your brain is literally going to send signals to your hands and say, I don't have enough time to do this, and then you're going to start panicking. In order to practice this panic, you need to do stuff like edit courses which are made for awkward edits specifically. The one that I would recommend is Gonkee's awkward edit course. This one's really good. I would recommend you guys test it out. If you guys memorize the 3 things of peaks, aim, and awkward edits, they'll help you play defensively and highlight your opponent's weaknesses as they're W keying you. And please believe me guys, this is one of the most important skills that I see a lot of players messing up. They know how to W key, they know how to fight, but they don't know how to be W keyed and play defensively in order to win their fights in that circumstance. And a lot of players at that point will just stop playing and blame it on the game. But if you're really good at playing defensively, it's going to help you out a ton in the long run. For defensive fights in duos, you need to focus on staying together during the fights, and if you're being pinched, you need to trap one of the players and eliminate them. This will create a 1v2 situation, and I'd recommend that you guys try to use different boxing techniques to highlight one of the players and just box them and eliminate them as fast as possible. So many pro players do this, I even do this quite a bit, and it's important that you guys properly know exactly how to focus one player out of a duo in a defensive situation. That's how you improve the most in duos. But those are the 3 types of fights and the 3 ways to win in mid-game fights. I gave you guys tons of methods and tons of professional strategies that I got from all of my friends. I have a bunch of people that I know that are semi-pros, pro players, and also coaches. I've spoken to all of them and they have all approved all of these tips. So overall, I'd recommend that you guys follow all of these tips, and once you master all of them, mid-game fights should be easier for you. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode of Process of a Pro because that is going to be mid-game, rotating and positioning. So once again, a quick reminder, if you guys have any ideas for this Process of a Pro series, please consider leaving a comment down below in the comment section and I will check it out and I will most likely make a video on it sometime in the future. This series is going to be the lifeblood of my channel. I'm trying to make a highly advanced guide for anybody that wants to go pro in this game, so please consider leaving your ideas down below. But overall, that is today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel down below. I spent a lot of time working on these series, as you guys can tell. I'm trying to crank out as many of these videos as I can for you guys because it makes me very happy to discuss an advanced high level of play in Fortnite. That's something I haven't really done that much in the past, but that's about it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys. Yeah.